So what is up, guys? My name is Henry and welcome back to another episode of Teenage Turtles the podcast. I'm so excited because it is quite a big milestone episode actually, and obviously I also have a spectacular guest which fits very well. But it's actually the 10th episode. So we did make it through 10 episodes, everyone. So big round of applause. Thank you. I didn't think we'd make it this far, but we did. And it was all just thanks to all of your support. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's, I guess, listened through this process and just been so kind and supportive of, I guess me, like, throughout this whole journey. So I just want to say thank you. But I guess going along with that, like I said before, it's the most fitting because I have a very spectacular guest today. I have today, as you've probably seen from the title, Miss Paris Lay.
Lay-yee.
What is it?
Lay-yee.
Lay-yee.
Yes, don't worry, everyone gets it right.
Sorry, okay, I was going to ask you about that before, but yeah.
It's okay.
Miss Paris Lay-yee. I'm going to give her a little bit of an intro because she is so bloody fantastic. So Paris actually goes to a nearby girls' school from us, and she is the current vice captain. I'm going to have so many questions for that. But she's also been really involved in public speaking and also debating. She's represented New South Wales in the Australian Individual Debating and Public Speaking Championships for 5 consecutive years, taking him first place in 2021. And she's also represented Australia in the World Individual Debating and Public Speaking Championships for once again for 5 consecutive years. And along with that, she's also received a diploma in communications, which sounds so awesome. I want to learn more about that as well. And she's also published poetry with a company called Red Room Poetry. Also awesome. Modern day T.S. Eliot Shakespeare, which is studying right now.
I wish.
I'll ask you more about that. And she's also a big involver in a lot of charity work, volunteering, which is also so great. Being an ambassador for the Sparkle Foundation, an ambassador for Allergy Life Australia, and also a member of the Sydney Children's Hospital Network Youth Council. So overall, such a well-rounded queen she is.
Thank you.
And so yeah, welcome, Paris.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be on here.
Yeah, no, I was just telling you before, but just from like a few people that I've spoken to, everyone was just like, oh, Paris is amazing. There's so many great things about her. And just from this short little interaction that I've had with you so far, I'm just like, wow, you're so nice, genuine, and well spoken.
I feel so like loved today. Like, this is great.
Yeah, so I guess just going along, I think we might just get started. So,
yeah, definitely.
I took everyone through that big introduction of achievements, and I think what's the most interesting for any character arc is that journey, that process, and how everyone got there. So I asked this for everyone, but just about your origin story.
Yeah.
Paris, what is your origin story?
Origin story. I sound like one of those superheroes.
Superhero. You are a superhero. You are a superhero.
Thank you. Well, I was born in England. I grew up in Australia. Yeah. So, spent my whole life here. Loved it. Spent a lot of time as a child at the beach and just.
When did you come to Australia?
I came to Australia when I was around 2 years old. Yeah, so I didn't spend a lot of time in England, but I was born there. Yeah.
Where are your parents from?
My parents, my mum grew up in Australia. My dad grew up in New Zealand. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Sorry, as you were saying, yeah, you came to Australia, yeah?
Yes.
Like, sorry, going before I interrupted you with like that journey.
Oh, yeah. Where was I? Yeah, so I grew up in Australia, Sydney, and just spent my whole life here. I was always I was one of those really confident kids, always wanting to perform or do something on the stage. So I remember my first day of kindergarten signing myself up for drama class, and I was like, Mom, I just want to, want to be on the stage. So I've always loved that aspect of performing arts, and I think that's how I got into the public speaking later on.
So it was just that internal confidence. You just had that one to perform.
Yeah, I was just, one of those really confident kids that always wanted to express their opinion or personality.
You were just the class president from preschool. You just volunteered to speak up and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad I had a very well-rounded childhood.
Yeah. No, so that translated from, I think you said primary school?
Primary school, yeah. And I think the mindset, and what I'm very lucky is my parents always sort of told me the world's my oyster kind of thing. I wasn't held back. I was always allowed to try new things, try different activities. And I think that's why I developed such a passion for different things and really pursued it later on.
So you continued during primary school. Do you think that was just a huge part in your life, just going out and performing public speaking? Yeah,
definitely. I had a very free childhood. I wasn't trapped indoors, forced to study or focus on grades. My parents really emphasized, going out, being a child, especially in a place like Australia where there's so much outdoors, so many opportunities. Yeah. So being able to just be a kid and explore different avenues.
Did you enjoy primary school?
I did. I loved primary school. It was a great time.
Was it a co-ed?
Yeah, it was a co-ed public school just nearby my house, and it was really good. I made very good friends there, and it was just a great childhood and friendships that I still have today. One of them being Grace Hutchinson.
shout out Grace. Yeah. She was the one who put this together, kind of thing. Yeah, so I mean, primary school, do you think like your whole life was just mostly just having fun? Was there any other big monumental activities in your life during that time?
Primary school time?
Yeah.
Not really, to be honest. Really, just being a kid and enjoying being a kid, which I think a lot of kids nowadays don't have. I think because of like, either they're put into a lot of different activities or just, not realizing the power of just going out, being a kid, imagining and playing outside.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you, in that time, you said you were really confident.
Yes.
How else would you describe your character?
As a child?
Yeah, in your personality then.
Confident, a little sassy. Those just really outgoing kids. I was one of them.
Yeah.
A little bit obnoxious maybe.
Yeah.
Very loud voice. Just you could always hear my voice in my household. I have a little sister and she was much quieter. You would just always hear Paris, getting into trouble a bit here and there. So just a very loud kid.
Yeah. So when you transitioned to year 7, was that kind of a big shift?
It was definitely. I think when people go through their teenage years, they become a bit more reserved. I think we can all agree with that. And I definitely kind of took a step back from that really big personality just because, as you grow up, you develop more insecurities or you develop more of a social awareness for others around you. So I definitely did become a bit more reserved as I got older.
Why do you think that was the case?
I just think when you're 13...
You would say reserved as in like less
outgoing or less confident or maybe willing to try new things. Yeah. I think it's because when you're 13 and you're a teenage girl, there's always that moment where you have that sort of insecurity. You don't know who you are. You're still trying to figure out who you're going to be. And, you start caring more about what others think of you.
Yes.
And less about what you think of yourself.
I want to ask you, when you went into year 7, so did you go into that all-girls school?
So I moved to the all-girls school in year 5.
Oh,
so it was a big change because I think it was also a big culture shock. I had just come
Yes.
from a co-ed public school into this very prestigious all-girls school, which was
Yes.
wonderful. The opportunities that I have at the school is amazing.
Yeah.
But it was just a big culture shock, you know, and the way that the school and the social expectations were in that school.
What were these social expectations?
Oh, just even just things like, for example, when you went to a birthday party at my primary school,
Yeah.
you know, you'd maybe get them a nice gift. They wouldn't care if you wrapped it in newspaper, right? If you went now to this new school that I was at, girls were coming with these elaborate gift-wrapped gifts, satin bows and all that. So it was just a big culture shock. You know, I wasn't used to all this new and perhaps more fancy components. And I just didn't realize or comprehend.
Do you think a big part of that would just be because it's just a single sex, just like all girls environment?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And it was more, I think it's just because it was a single sex school.
Yeah. So did you still have, you think, a big transition period in year 7, or you kind of experienced that big cultural shock?
I definitely experienced the big cultural shock in year 5, year 6. But in year 7, I think it was more the realization that, oh, now I'm becoming a teenager. Now there's more things to be socially aware of and things to be more insecure about. So it was different change of mindset in year 7, just for every teenager, you know.
Yeah, I want to ask you this because with all the boys that I've talked to, from our experience in year 7, everyone was just still really, really friendly. And I think back then, well, like everyone came from different schools, this new, you know, big world of just all boys, right? But in that period, since we're all kids, everyone just kind of had that natural like bond, we're all in this together. And literally, I feel like every single kind of group, no matter if you're the, you know, popular like a footy group or you're one of like the study kids, everyone would just kind of come together, say hi, like what's up, when we're like going to soccer or something. Everyone would be really nice. But it wasn't until kind of later, a couple years, year 9 and 10, that was when the transition and character development kind of changed. So like, was that any kind of the case for you guys?
I absolutely agree with you. In year 7, everyone was still, as you said, kind of a kid, so everyone was very friendly, and we were all in the same situation. We were going into high school together. So there was no one above the other person.
But did you think like a natural kind of popularity arc developed?
I think there's always going to be a natural hierarchy. It's the way our society, sadly, is sort of laid out. And it's not about this person from day one is just better than you. That's definitely not what popularity is about. It's the mindset around popularity and how people perceive other people. Like, oh, okay, this person is better than me. But are they necessarily? No, they might just have, you know, a cooler hairstyle, a better outfit than you. But it's how you want to perceive popularity.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
No,
but
that's awesome. Yeah, it's just like a made up thing in your mind.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's just a perspective kind of thing.
Because I can guarantee you, not everyone's thinking the same as you. Like you have these insecurities inside of you. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. But it's what you've created. It's the own cage you've created for yourself. You know.
Yeah. So take me through. Do you think there were any changes in people's characters over that period?
Yeah, I definitely think, as you were saying, like year 8, year 9, as we progressed further into high school, there was definitely change in characters. I think it was just puberty, hormones, you know, and not being able to deal with all the emotions inside of you. So people definitely changed. I'm not saying whether that's for the worse or for the better, but, you know, people started becoming their own person. And I think that's great that they were on this self-development journey, but, you know, you start realizing, oh, these people I naturally gravitate towards a bit more, you know, and that's how you develop those more long-lasting friendships.
Yeah, I guess it is I like you said, it's kind of good that there's those developments because everyone becomes their true character. But for me, there's definitely been those experiences where some people that I might have just loved and got along with so well in their earlier years just kind of transformed into some, characters that I might be less fond of.
Absolutely.
Did you have,
I think it's just sad because obviously, as you said, maybe you have those connections earlier on in your high school years, year 7, and and I think in year 7 everyone bonds really tightly because they're in the same boat. I'm not sure if it was the same experience for you, but at my school everyone was quite close and you made those friendships very fast. But then as you progressed further on into high school, people change, and it's good that people change because who wants to be the same person for the rest of their life, right? But you find that you have maybe different morals or different priorities, and you slowly and naturally move apart. But I think you always hold on to the memory of who they once were in your life.
Wow, yeah. No, yeah, I think like when we come in, a reason why everyone might be so closely bonded together is that idea of like when everyone experiences the same common sense of struggle, everyone experiences, they're all going through the same challenges.
Yes.
We have a common bonding ground.
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
comes closer because it's a brand new, scary world of high school that we don't know about. So naturally, everyone's inclined. But also, I think from year 9 and year like 8 and 9, when there's kind of like more like sadder, I guess, character changes occur. I think a big thing is, like you said, about that idea of like popularity and people becoming, I think, insecure, wanting to climb the ladder. And like you said, I think about the priorities.
Yes.
A big priority in that period is just appearing, the most well-rounded in that spectrum.
Yes, absolutely. I think people become very fixated on what other people want them to be rather than who they want to be, if that makes sense. And it's sad because some people really change themselves to fit into this very particular mold of what cool is or of what popular is. And I think eventually that will break them because maybe 10 years down the track they realize, did I ever develop my identity or did I ever develop my personality for who I want to be, So yeah, but people.
I also want to ask you, just in that goal sense, what did that kind of culture look like when everyone started changing?
In my school context?
in your experience,
well, obviously, as I said before, I'm in a single sex school, and that can look perhaps a bit different to a co-ed school, because you've got a bunch of girls who are going through puberty, emotions are high. So in terms of what that looked like, I think there was maybe a lot of friendship fights in those few years.
A big thing is like the girls group. Is that right? Like which group you send off to?
And I forget that in a boys' school that it's not as cliquey, or would you say it is?
I don't think it is as cliquey. Like everyone's kind of. I think there's like an overall general like group, but everyone's are just like,
I mean, that's good, I as I said, I came from a co-ed school and we were more like that, just sitting in a big group. You had your closer friends, but we all kind of stuck together, right?
Was it also like a girls group, or was it in the co-ed group it was also like
there were a few girls groups, few guys groups, but we all generally friends, especially because it was younger years. But in when you go to a girls' school, and especially high school, there becomes a very apparent split. In terms of groups and who can sit with who. And even people being upset if maybe a girl moved groups and, why did you betray us? It's a very big thing. Girls, I think it's good because we like to stay in groups, but I think especially in those teenage times, emotions are already intense and high. So if a friend leaves to join another group, it's not as received positively, let's just say.
There's really big drama.
Yes. So yeah, there was a lot of very intense emotions around that time, let's just say. But, you know, we're at a place now where we're all like becoming young adults, year 12, and thankfully, you know, now we're all very chill about it. It's no longer the case. We have our friends who we know we're going to stay in touch with, and we know we're going to pursue like a longer friendship with, and we're fine now. But I think just in those younger years, because everyone was going through different changes in their life, when you come to school and you have like this stability in your group, and you have a so-called like family that you're coming to school for, when a member of that family leaves, it's very tough for people. So yeah, that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, I think at our school there isn't. Sorry, as that was I just so right into the mic. I'll cut that. But at the like our boys' school, it's not as tight. I think if someone moves along, it's like no one really realizes.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, what is that environment kind of like during like recess and lunch? Is everyone just huddled really tightly and have what kind of conversations do you guys have? Because I feel like with us, one thing that like over kind of these few months while doing this podcast, I've realized that we've literally never had a real conversation before.
Wow.
Like real, you know, just actually speaking about something valuable. It's just very surface level. Or I don't know, shove each other around or something, call someone stupid. Or just literally like, oh, what's going on Friday? Oh, did you get like English back or something?
Right.
That's literally it. And then, yeah, nothing is said. And then like when I started doing this podcast or like talking with some people, having a sit down conversation, I realized I can't even hold a conversation because I've just never experienced that in my life. So
that's really intriguing to me because I think I had a very opposite experience from you in that sense. I can't say the same for every single group in my year.
Yes.
Obviously they would talk about, you know, different things, but I'm very lucky in the sense that I have a really close friendship group, and I feel so blessed to have these girls in my life because, you know, we talk about everything. Like nothing is too personal or too taboo in that sense. So, you know, we talk about everything from just general day-to-day stuff from like politics, you know, abortion rights. So I'm very lucky in the sense that I have a close group of friends that I can literally just say whatever's on my mind. So yeah, we talk about everything.
Yeah. Like when I was much younger, and I was just thinking about this the other day, I would think to myself like, oh damn, my sister's so lucky, because I feel like as a girl, you were just able to like say whatever, and there would be kind of no social or like judgment from your friends. But like with us, I feel like there's a lot of just social expectation that you shouldn't talk about these certain like deeper topics. You shouldn't express your kind of things that you care about. You're not allowed to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
that's the word. And yeah, like a lot of that is just kind of what everyone assumes to. It's just surface level, just talking about random stuff. And yeah, like no, I guess no one wants to be vulnerable to express like what they're going through, their real thoughts and stuff, and just kind of valuable conversation.
So with guys, do you guys talk about mental health a lot, or what's the deal with that?
Well, I don't think that's ever been a topic really that has come up. From my experience, the only one time that might come up is just if it's just me and like a closer friend.
Yes.
Or like besides that, I would just the only mental health everyone would kind of just gather on about is just like, oh, dude, I'm so stressed right now, and it's just kind of that like joking manner.
Yep.
But yeah, I think mental health, it's like a topic that even I feel like there's a lot of just internal resistance to just speak up on. And I think with me, even though I've like worked on my ability to be like vulnerable so much, it's still kind of there, that resistance. And looking at so many people around me, that resistance is definitely 10 times higher, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a talk. We had like a mental health well-being assembly one time.
Oh, yeah.
Like last term sometime. And they asked me to like do the host kind of thing.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was quite excited,
Yeah.
And they just kind of said it was a kind of like a mock podcast. So I went up and just like asked the boys, like 5 other boys, or like just questions about mental health, what they're dealing with, how they deal with it, because I think that is the most powerful way of helping these issues, is to just express that people that people that you're friends with, they've experienced these challenges as well, so you can feel more comfortable in just speaking out and getting help. So I thought that was a great experience.
Yeah.
Where I shared some like vulnerable stuff about myself. I said like, I was just thinking, okay, look, if I can act vulnerable, hopefully like these 5 other blokes can probably stand up a bit more as well. So I had to ask stuff about like going to psychologists and stuff, which was kind of like a more difficult topic to talk about.
Yes.
So I just started off and said like, I just want to be like straightforward and say, I've actually gone to the psychologist at our school as well. I've had a great time. They've been awesome. Just about some of like the stressful times that I've had. And I shared it like to the mic. And out of the 5 boys, one of them said they've actually gone as well, which was nice to hear.
Yes.
And then the other 4, they said they've actually never gone to the psychologist before, which was interesting as well, because it's like the psychologist center at our school is it's so awesome, but not many people I think have utilized that.
Yes.
And
so they're just avoiding those resources.
I think so.
Do you think they need the resources?
Yeah. Like before I went as well, there was definitely so much resistance on stepping forward and going to that place. A subconscious kind of feeling might be just, I might appear like weak going to that, or it's just difficult for me to express what I truly care about, like my own thoughts, in the sense of fear that I might be judged.
Yes. Yeah.
But in the end I pushed myself and I went.
No,
and
that's
I'm so
amazing.
happy. Yeah Thank you. Like what is like the well-being aspect at your school?
Oh, it's amazing. There's a lot of focus on well-being. We have a well-being dog. I mean, that's pretty cool,
that's
right?
So good.
She's very cute. Her name's Daisy.
Yeah.
And I think it's really amazing that we have the resources to focus on well-being. And that's one of the many reasons I love going to this school, because from day one, as soon as you start year 7, even in the junior school, you're taught about how to manage emotions. You're taught about how to express yourself, and you're very validated as a student, especially because mental health can get very low in your teenage years, and learning how to manage mental health is so important. And it's really simple, but people forget that there are very simple ways to increase well-being and to get on the right track to good mental health.
Yes. When your school started talking about all of these things, did girls instantly become attached and listen properly?
Oh, definitely. Definitely not. I think I think there's always going to be some resistance, especially when an adult or a person of high authority is talking to a bunch of teenagers. We're all naturally going to resist what they're saying. Who do they think they are coming to talk to us, who is experiencing this firsthand? I think that's always going to be the case for teenagers. We're just hardwired like that, But I think naturally over time, we started realizing that, oh, yes, there are benefits to this. And I think one of the things that I really took on was practicing gratitude.
Tell me about that.
And it's just really simple, honestly. Like if I'm having a rough day, or if something's not going right in my life, I just think about 3 things that are going right in my life, or 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it really shifts your mindset, because when you're in a bad place or when you're thinking negatively, that's all you can think about. You kind of dig yourself your own hole, right?
Yeah.
But then when you flip your mindset and think, okay, what is going right? Or what am I grateful for? You know, I have good health. I have a house. I have a roof to sleep in. I have food. I have loving parents. Then you realize, you know, I have a lot to be positive about. So even something as simple as that. And I think a lot of people should practice gratitude.
Is that something that, you know, the school taught you about? Or?
Yeah, definitely. So we have positive education lessons built into our curriculum. So that's, I think, once every fortnight.
What does that mean, positive education?
Yeah. Basically, in those classes, you're taught about different tools and strategies on how to cope with mental health. So one of them is like practicing gratitude, for example. And we're taught about the brain as well. So like the psychology behind mental health.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah, neuroplasticity, the fact that you can change the way your brain perceives stuff. For example, my least favorite subject is definitely maths. I've never been a natural maths person. Definitely more of an English gal. But I was always had thought in my head, because I'm bad at maths, I'm never going to be great at maths, right? That was my mindset. But then we had these positive education lessons and we were taught about neuroplasticity, which is basically retraining the brain to believe you can do something. Because your brain can be very fixed, but you can retrain it to do something. So if you adopt the mindset that, yes, I can get better at maths, yes, I'm going to be great at maths, you can actually get to that point. And this is fairly new science, but yeah, we learn all of this in positive education.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So is it just a small class, like everyone's in classrooms, or is it big, like a lecture theatre?
It's the typical classroom setting.
Yeah.
So you know how you have kind of like core classes, year 7, 8, 9. So it's the same size as like a science class, like 20 people, I would say.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you guys have things like we have mentor classes?
Yeah.
Do you guys have that as well?
We do, and they're like classes of like 14 people.
Yeah. So you have those in addition to like that
the positive education.
They just like fit it in.
Yeah. So both of them are compulsory.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah.
So do they also just talk about, I guess, kind of things, like the self-improvement books? Like, is that what they talk about as well?
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of speakers come in, you know, with the self-improvement, self-empowerment, especially as young women. I think that's a big focus for us. So we get a lot of empowered young individuals coming to speak about, you know, their story. And so empowerment and self-development is very much at the forefront of my school and their mission. Yeah. And something I want to carry forward, especially in the leadership role I currently have. And that's something I want to further.
Oh, okay, we'll get to that leadership part in a sec. But also, like, I mean, so in our school, what we have is a little bit of that. Like, so we have year meetings, which are like mini assemblies with just our year group. And maybe like every now and then we would have a like little talk by one of the teachers just about you can like do this to be less stressed, you can like breathe properly, and then also like there was one year meeting or like a couple which was a teacher talking about like how the brain works and stuff.
Awesome.
Which I guess was cool, but it might have been like definitely like no one properly listens, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
And likewise, I think with mental health being like kind of a not as able to intake topic, everyone just kind of like brushes it off, so everyone doesn't really listen. But what I've just been kind of hopeful for that a school like ours could adopt, similar to like what you guys have done, is just more focused on these aspects of how can we become a better character, what can we do to become more efficient, what should our mindset be.
Absolutely.
In these things, just like I've been really into those like self-improvement books, like self-improvement,
That's great.
just like videos, and I've found them just to be really empowering. Just like watching so many of them, I learned, okay, this is how I should construct my mindset, how I should tackle these tasks, and I think it overall has made me to become a better person overall, which I'm happy that it has. But it just, I feel like at school, the only thing that we've been taught, which has still been so amazing, is just like, you got to be a very responsible, respectful young man. you can't be so stressed and fixated on all your studies because it doesn't matter that much, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that just seems kind of a little bit artificial, and kind of like what you said about why should I listen to you when you don't know what position I'm in.
I definitely think what you were just saying, it's really changing the culture and mindset of a society or a group of people from the root. So, obviously you have these teachers and these people of higher authority coming to speak to you about it, but no one's going to listen if you don't change the culture from the root. So starting with the people who are being talked to, and trying to change the culture within our generation about how we perceive mental health. And I think, I remember I was speaking to a group of younger kids about academics, and this was for like a seminar type thing. And these girls were maybe year 7, year 8, so like 12, 13-year-old girls. And one of the girls puts her hands up, and I said, yep, question. And she said, why is my value defined by a mark, by a number? I just got incredibly sad because, your value isn't defined by a mark, but this is clearly how young people and students nowadays may see themselves, that their worth is based on how well they do academically and whether we can put a number to it. So I think we need to change that mindset. We need to change that culture.
And do you think you were able to do that on that day of speaking with
I
them?
definitely tried to give her some encouragement and reassurance that no, her worth isn't about a mark on a piece of paper. It's about, how you're kind to others, or how you project your morals in the world. So I definitely did try and encourage her, but whether that reassured her or whether that convinced her, I'm not sure. Because,
Yeah, I do agree that it's, for a problem to be fixed, it does have to come from the very inner. You can't just keep on scraping off from the top, which is how I think a lot of teachers have been doing it. But yeah, like during those year 8, year 9 periods where everyone was just, the worst characters ever of themselves.
Yeah.
What I was just really hoping and thinking to myself was, damn, I hate this like toxic culture where everyone just like brushes off actually like saying anything.
Yeah.
Everyone just, just being disrespectful like constantly. Yeah, it's just like, there's like stupid jokes like when someone's like, when?
Yeah.
When.
Yeah. No, that annoyed me too.
This resonates me so much. And oh my god. Sorry, I get
very
so
passionate about this.
I'm very passionate about this, yeah. And just like stupid stuff like that, which may be funny once, like just like those, that's like the perfect example of a joke which, well, there's so many of them, which just further restricts everyone to express what they say.
Yep.
Because I walk around like with landmines on the ground, like when someone asks when, I'm like, okay, I can't fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's very easy to. I mean, if you have that culture and everyone's saying it, it's easy to just laugh or just, carry on the joke. And I think adding on to that, the jokes that can be harmful maybe to certain minorities, like casually racist jokes or casually sexist jokes. And I think sometimes it can be ingrained into teenage culture, where it's okay. It's not okay, but whether they think it's acceptable to make fun of a person because they're different. I think we also need to change that. I'm very passionate about that.
Yes. Yeah. My friend, my buddy Max was just like telling me how, we should go speak like at one of the younger years to try to like turn over these like toxic cultures.
Yes.
And then the first thing that popped to my head was, okay, that would be great. But then the second thing was just that inner doubt, like, how would that work out?
Yeah.
How would we just, speak to like a group of year 7s or year 8s who like, A, they don't listen because they won't care about what we're saying, and B, actually make that change.
Especially because when you're in year 7 or year 8, you think you're the top.
Yes, yeah.
You think you're the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I was just saying like, how can we completely change a person in say like 20 minutes?
Definitely can't.
Right. So then, like, how would we actually transform these cultures?
And that's the frustrating thing, because it's something that's been ingrained in us, you know, for a while, because society and the way that it's been constructed, even, you know, the patriarchy. Don't get me started, I'm going to ramble on about that, but it's hard when society has been hardwired into thinking these certain ways, and it's hard to completely overhaul that, you know.
Yeah. Did you guys study 1984?
We haven't yet.
Oh, but you guys will.
Yeah, because I do the IB.
Oh, okay,
so
nice. Yeah,
different structure.
Yes. Okay.
Different novels to study and
yeah.
all that.
Okay. I don't think this will spoil anything. Okay, but basically like. Okay, no, okay, it's pretty standard. Yeah. So like a big thing that they talk about in the book is, like I'm sure you know like a general plot of it, right? Yeah. Well, like the party, a way they kind of manipulate society into, you know, being these helpers of the government, this like twisted government, is by manipulating the children, the youth of the world, which is actually so true, because when everyone's, you know, at their very you know, their youngest point, where they haven't really been interacted with a lot of information, that's when their core is just the most exposed. And in that time when you get information thrown at you, that will probably be like the central you know, sense of values that you listen to for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Because that's when you're most vulnerable, and where you can be not manipulated but swayed in a certain direction, and your beliefs and your values come from the people around you. You know, you're not born with inherent beliefs like, oh, I believe this is XYZ. You know, you're taught that. Yeah. So it's very important.
So I just think to myself, if say in year 7 everyone just gets values that are in the positive sense just thrown at them constantly, where it's almost like a positive brainwash. In that time,
positive brainwash,
you know, where like they're taught that, okay, look, this is bad, this like toxicity is bad, thinking that popularity exists is bad. Everyone, I think, will over time have those better thought systems.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Yeah. You know, no, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that is like, I think a realistic change that could be made if we just changed how young people are taught from that early age.
Simple as that, education.
Yeah. Sorry, before you talked about leadership.
Yes.
Talk to me about like your role there. Like
about,
I guess, yeah, what does it involve? Like, why did you want to become that leader?
It's a great question, and I always kind of pause when someone asks me that.
Yes.
I think it comes, well, the reason why I applied for the role in the first place was because I saw a simple act of representation. So in my time at this school, I hadn't seen any Asian school captains. And then I remember one girl a few years back became like the first Asian school captain I had seen. And it just opened like a light inside my brain, like, wow, I could be that one day. Yes. That could actually happen. It's not as if they were consciously, you know, just not putting Asian people in this role. I just think maybe just wasn't that person's time. You know, it's really on based on merit and the person rather than race. So I'm not saying that this was racially motivated at all. Yeah. But for me, seeing that representation on stage inspired me and gave me the confidence to apply for the role and realize that could happen, you know? So for me, I hoped that I would further inspire young Asian girls to pursue leadership roles and have the confidence to do so. So that was my big motivation.
Yes. No, yeah, that idea is something that I've grown a lot more interested and fond of over these like past year or so. Yeah, my sister's like really big about this idea as well, like Asian representation.
Yes.
Just in like all areas in life, like what careers, like education, leadership. And yeah, I do agree that like when you see someone or like see someone, I guess, that you have a common bond with, for example, like Asian culture, it does make you feel very proud and empowered.
Yeah.
Well, okay, kind of a dumb example, but like, you know, for example, like the Shang-Chi movie.
Yes.
Like, I was so stoked about that.
No, me too.
And I just felt, I never felt that, like, I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't very, like, you know, focused on this topic before. But when I saw that, you know, I felt so proud that it was kind of like my own people, just like as a lead in the main screen in Hollywood, which is so cool.
Because I think, did you grow up in Australia as well?
Yeah, like when I was 3.
Yeah, exactly. So we've grown up in a westernized society. I'm not sure if it was the same experience for you, but I wasn't big on like, oh yeah, you know, I'm Asian growing up, or
I agree.
Representation. It was more, oh, you know, Asian culture is part of my identity, but it's not a huge part. But I've really valued as I got older that it is a big part for me, and I've really valued maintaining the cultural connection, because, you know, my parents grew up in Western society too. So they've had a bit of loss of culture as well, you know. So I'm second generation, you know, Asian Australian. So being able to chat to my grandmother and connect with culture it's become a really big priority for me as I grow older. But not so much as I was younger. I think I tried to not ignore it, but just not make an active effort to connect with it.
So that was like a big motivation for you to step into this leadership position.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest joy and reward for me in this role is not the shiny badge or the title itself. It's the conversations and the emails I get from young Asian students who have said, you've inspired me.
Really?
To maybe go for class captain or to go for SRC. Sorry, I get really like emotional about it, but
that's awesome.
That feeling of I've represented other people is just the best feeling in the world.
Oh, good on you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is that a message that you've conveyed to students at school?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I haven't done like a huge speech on race when I'm presenting an assembly.
Yeah.
But sort of like the subtle representation, like I'm standing on this lectern, you can be too, and chatting with, you know, young Asian students or any young minorities, and encouraging them and empowering them to pursue certain leadership roles. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, at our school, there's like over those few years, I feel like there was never like an Asian like leader, which was kind of odd. But it wasn't until like 1 year there was a boy called like Horton, and he was, I didn't even know during then, but he was such a beast in literally everything.
Oh wow.
He got a 9.5.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
he
amazing.
I think he did like this little speech at like a TED thing. And he was I think chairman, which was like,
oh wow,
there was school captain, the 2 vice captains, and there was chairman.
Wow.
So that was him, and he was an Asian fella. And I was just like, how amazing is that? Just to see like your own kind of person up there. But yeah, like I was thinking about this as well. I don't know, like you said about before, it should be about, you know, how valuable a certain person is, like their skills, rather than, you know, say like whatever, gender, race, things like that. And looking around me in my year group, it might be because of that representation hasn't been as strong, but I'm not sure I can think of like one in particular person who I think like, wow, they're the most charismatic person I've ever seen. They're the best leader that I've ever met. And I wonder whether that might be because of like a cultural,
I see.
you know, like understanding in their own life.
So is it more popularity contest, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like talking with Freddie, I realized that. So yeah, Freddie. like he was one of the most charismatic, well-spoken people I've ever met. And I asked him, oh, you know, what is your conversations at home like? How are you brought up at home? And I asked him, oh, do you have these conversations? Because I feel like with me and a big group of kids at our school, I just not engaged in these conversations. And he talks about how, yes, you know, with my parents, I always had these really, really long, like deep conversations just about like anything, like politics, what's going on currently, you know, just at life. And I think all of that upbringing of like communication, we have to speak up, be a leader. That's an idea that's really ingrained, might be in like their culture, but definitely from my experience and a few of my friends, that idea of, you know, you have to speak really well, you have to go into these leadership positions. That's not really like a big priority, I think. And over time, I think that does show from what I've seen. So I want to ask you, like, was that a culture that you had at home of, you know, you got to speak well, Paris, you got to push it for those leadership positions?
My parents never, you know, obviously pushed me to go for certain leadership positions, but what they did encourage me was to be strong. You know, my parents are the strongest people I know, and their morals and the morals they taught me have really shaped me as a person. I'm so thankful for it, because they always told me to stand up for what I believe in and to use my voice. And I think those are two very powerful messages and lessons to learn, especially as a young Asian girl growing up in a Western society. You know, being two minorities, it's not ideal. And even though society is changing, there are still perhaps setbacks maybe I will encounter. And I think that's the reason why I was such a confident young girl. I talked about in the start, I was very like loud, very confident. I think it's because I was taught at home, you can be whatever you want as long as you go for it. You stand your ground and you're strong. And that's what I was taught at home. And I think the way my mindset was developed allowed me to feel confident enough to pursue certain roles at school. So yeah, you
spoke a little bit about those challenges that you might have faced, or like setbacks because of this background. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
I don't think it's, you know, outward racism. I don't think I've ever experienced very outward racism, but more casual, or what I like to call playground racism, or even just not being considered for a role. So having to try 2 times harder to be seen and to be considered for a certain role. I'll give you an example. This didn't happen to me, but my sister. So she's also a public speaker, and she was at a public speaking competition. And, you know, I had read over her speech. I thought she had a great speech, you know. And she was the only person there who didn't have palm cards, so her points wouldn't be deducted. And I thought she gave, you know, a flawless performance. She didn't win, which was fine, but the feedback really stumped me. And it was a male judge who was white, an elderly lad. And the feedback he said to her was, the reason why you didn't win was because you have a female voice. Your voice isn't assertive enough. And that really made me angry, because, you know, you're teaching and you're telling a young girl that her voice is not powerful enough because she doesn't sound like a man, and she will never be able to sound like a man because she has a higher register. So you're basically implying that because she has a female voice, she's never going to sound strong, or she's never going to sound assertive. I think that was a very detrimental comment to say, you know, and that is an example of why I've always felt encouraged to work twice as hard to be seen, and to ensure that representation happens because of comments like that.
Wow. No, I'm lost for words. Oh yeah. No, but like, I think it's so amazing how you kind of still take that power into your own hands. You still feel that sense of stability that you can still accomplish those goals that you always wanted to. Not that you see that there's challenges and you think, okay, this journey is too hard, might as well not even attempt it. Which I think might be the case with, like a lot of boys that I know. Maybe that is a reason why like many of them don't go and pursue what they want. Because of that fear that this journey might be a bit harder. Yeah, no, but over time, once you've been pushing that message, I mean, like, I guess, like, what other kind of changes do you think you've been and you're hoping to implement during your time?
I think just being more aware and more proud of where you come from or who you are as a person.
Yeah.
At my school, we're currently developing a well-being loop. So because we're very well-being focused, positive education centered, we're currently developing this pathway that connects the entire school together. Because science has proven that being outside and even just taking like a 10-minute walk can really improve your well-being. So we're currently developing that. And part of that, we wanted to integrate Australian culture. So we met with an Indigenous knowledge keeper. So we're going to try and incorporate certain Indigenous flora and fauna around the path because, it shows the multicultural aspect of Australia and the people who have always been here. So just incorporating cultural aspects like that into the school.
Wow. Do you think you've done quite a lot over your time as like vice captain of the school?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I definitely try and implement initiatives or even just chat to people through my role. So I really hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the prefects at our school, I don't think like a big sense of I want change to be made is there. There's a lot of those meetings, but I think a lot of times, which like a lot of my friends say, it's just kind of a waste of time. They're there kind of just for the sake of a meeting.
Yeah.
Nothing gets discussed. It's just for the sake of the email. And a huge part of it, I think, is just that internal passion. Nobody actually wants something to be changed. But the fact that you are as a leader and putting a foot forward, it's so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the perception of the badge versus the title. What I mean by that is I think people are very starstruck by, this is a shiny badge. This is a great role to have to put on university applications and future resumes. And it was never about that for me. I thought more, wow, with this position, what can I do to help? And that was what I was very keen about. So yeah, I think just changing maybe the mindset of what that role means for you.
Did you implement a lot of these changes earlier across your school life?
Yeah, I definitely tried to. It's always been something I'm very passionate about and want to do in the future. I think I mainly did that through spreading awareness through my public speaking or through certain advocacy initiatives that I created. So with the public speaking, as you mentioned before, I've done quite a few competitions, and I always like to choose to speak on an issue that is very current and to make people more aware. So one issue I'm very passionate about is ocean acidification and environmental issues.
Yes.
So, the current, climate change and how that's affecting the ocean, especially for Australia. Like, we're an island, so that's going to affect us a lot. And I was very passionate when researching about this issue for a competition I was doing for Worlds, which is the World Individual thing. Yes. And as I was researching about it, I got very passionate. And it was like 1 a.m. in the morning. I was just like on a sugar high. I had eaten a lot of like junk food as I was writing the speech, and I saw this like notification pop up in my email inbox, and it was for Red Room Poetry, and it said, oh, like enter this competition to be in our like next book. And I was like, oh, you know, all these poets are going to enter it, but I'll just enter it for fun. So like, you know, I just like took 5 minutes, wrote a random poem and decided to submit it, not thinking anything of it. Shut my laptop, went to sleep. A week later, I get an email back from Red Room saying, congratulations, you're part of the book.
Oh my
and
God.
I was like, oh, great, you know. It was a very nice surprise, but I really didn't expect anything from that. It was 1 a.m. in the morning after eating loads of junk food. So, yeah, but that was a great thing. And what was really exciting for that moment, not only because I was getting a poem out about environmental awareness.
Something you care about.
Yeah, something I care about. But the fact that it was alongside one of my like idols in poetry, Eunice Andrada. I'm not sure if you guys learnt about her at your school, but I was in year 10 at the time.
Yes.
And in our English unit, we were learning about her. And all of us were just like idolizing her because her poems are amazing. She's an Australian poet. And we were like, wow, how cool would it be if we were like, you know, alongside her in a poem book. And then they told me, oh, by the way, Eunice Andrada is like the guest poet for this. And I got to meet her like online. It was amazing. It was...
Wait, so after you like won that, they had this big conference set up where you guys meet everyone.
They wanted to launch the poetry book because it was still like COVID times.
Yes.
So they wanted to launch it on an Instagram live. So they put me next to her and I was like a mess. I was the biggest mess. I was like, oh my God, hi. Like, I'm a big fan of yours. It was, you know, it was a real fangirl moment for me. Yes. I was trying to play it cool, but I was freaking out inside. But she was lovely. Yeah.
Wow,
and
that's
that was,
so cool.
Yeah, that was a big honor. And then that book actually, all the proceeds from, all the money that they made from the book was donated to environmental causes.
Oh, nice.
So that was a great part and great initiative that I wasn't worried about because, as I told you, 1 a.m. in the morning, just randomly submitted it. But yeah, it was just a wonderful outcome and I couldn't have asked for any better.
Was the original topic of the competition just about environment? Like environmental
stuff? It was, the book was called Writing Water and it was originally meant to be just a group of official poets already, but they decided to bring it out to the general public to see if they would get public opinion. And my mum actually spoke on the phone with them and they said, oh, you know, we weren't expecting to submit like a student, like she's only 16 years old, but we liked how there was like a different take on it.
Yeah.
So that's why we decided to give it a shot. And
wait, so
I'm very lucky.
Were you the only student?
Yes. So
my God, nice.
The other people were, I think,
established poets.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky. It's just luck, you know. And I feel very blessed to have been on it.
No, you must be. Even though, so no way, it only took 5 minutes.
No, I'm genuinely serious. Because it was 1 a.m. I was tired. I was eating a bag of I think honey soy chicken chips in my bedroom.
Yeah. Come on. No, you must have a very great skill set to bang that in
Thank you.
No, record time. And still have so much quality.
Well, I always come up, I think, with my most creative ideas late at night or like early in the morning. So you'll find me writing a lot of my speeches like 1 minute before the deadline, like not in 1 minute, but like I'll be submitting it 1 minute before the deadline. I'm a very last minute person. I'm definitely not organized. I'm very last minute, but I come up with my most creative ideas
under the pump.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of those? So like when you write those speeches?
Yes.
I guess like tell me through how you started that public speaking and debating stuff.
It was really random, to be honest. So I didn't really have many of those public speaking opportunities at my public school. I don't think they had the facilities for it, which, yeah, it's fine. And it was primary school anyway.
Yes.
But then I came to my current school in year 5, and there was suddenly an array of opportunities. And being a very like active and ambitious person, I was like, yeah, I'll sign up for everything.
Yeah, of course.
And there was like this year 5 to 6 like school public speaking competition. I had never done public speaking, but I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. And maybe I can make some new friends because I was new. So I signed up for that in year 6, and I can't even remember the speech I did. But after the speech, I see this like little old lady approach me, and it was my current speech teacher, and she just like handed me her like a card with her email on it, like very like cool, like you know there's like spy movies you see, like slid it over. She's like, email me. And I was like, okay, like I don't know who you are, but I emailed her, and then eventually started public speaking lessons in year 8, I think. But I had done debating before, so I was sort of aware of what to do, but I had never done public speaking. I think people who don't do public speaking debating don't realize how different it is. Like, it's actually...
Wait, public speaking from debating?
Yeah. I mean, it's good because you develop a skill set if you do debating and then go into public speaking with like presentation skills, but very different how you write it, very different how you present it.
How so?
With debating, it's very analytical. You're there to kind of put your case across and convince the audience that your case is the best case. And the way you speak is very assertive. It's, I think, a more male-dominated field as well.
Okay, yeah.
So you speak very assertive. You speak very straight to the point. With public speaking, it's a bit more like, picture this, you know, you set the scene, you take the audience on a journey. So your voice and register changes. Yeah.
Is there still emotion in debating?
There definitely can be, especially when it's like a topic on human rights, for example. So you can put that emotion, like imagine this young girl, you know, living. Yes. But definitely more analytical than public speaking.
So what are some examples of public speaking topics that you might talk about?
Yeah, so some past speeches I've done, one that I'm very fond of is racial bias in medicine.
Okay.
So I talked about, it's because I came across this story. She was a young Indigenous Australian girl, so she had darker skin, right? And in Western medicine, there have not been a lot of studies conducted on dark skin. It's all been on lighter skin. So you will not necessarily have the same diagnosis or look the same if you have a skin disease on darker skin. And she had these lumps on her arms. So she went to the pediatrician, the GP, sorry, and they diagnosed her with just like a harmless like skin rash. That skin rash turned out to be skin cancer. And they weren't able to diagnose her because there weren't any medical studies done on darker skin.
Wow.
So that really moved me to talk about a speech on racial bias and how it is really prevalent and how harmful it can be for young people of colour.
Do you do a lot of these readings?
Pardon?
Do you do a lot of just reading, researching?
Yeah, I always love to like read the news. I sound like an old person.
Awesome.
I'm like an old person in a young person's body. But yeah, I like reading the news and stories. Yeah. So yeah, I mainly draw my inspiration from the stuff I learn about.
Yeah, so as you're constructing those speeches for your public speaking, it must take so much brain power and like inspiring from other people. Just like, how do you construct this character arc that people should care about? Like, what do you have to involve in those speeches and new people?
I always like to employ the 3 persuasive speaking devices, which is...
I'm keen, yeah.
Pathos, ethos, and logos.
Yes.
You're probably aware of it from English or just have heard of it.
I can never like pinpoint which one is which. So no, tell me through it.
So in a public speaking context, pathos is basically any sort of emotion. So you need to develop an emotion in the audience. Ethos is credibility, so why you're credible on speaking about this issue. So I always try and find a personal connection to my topics. With the racial bias speech, it's just, my grandparents have gone to the doctors and the doctors have been very condescending because, English is their second language. They speak it, wonderfully, but it's that racial barrier. And then logos is basically any fact or statistic to back up what you're trying to say. So if you employ those three elements for any sort of aspect in life, you can persuade anyone.
Wow. And were you taught all of this by your public speaking teacher?
Yes, I was. I credit her in all of the things that I've learned because she has so much wisdom and so many life stories that are fascinating. So I'm very glad we have a very close relationship. So yeah.
Oh, that's so great. So in the public speaking field, is the main purpose to just flip an argument towards the audience, or is it to just discuss?
It's mainly to it can be different for every public speaker.
Okay. Yeah.
So in these competitions that I do, what I want the audience to take away is for there to be some social change, because I talk about a lot of social issues.
Yes.
But then other public speakers, there's a type of public speaking called after dinner speaking, and it's basically just a very funny speech. So you can adopt a persona or a character and, talk about really funny things. So then their aim would be just to make the audience laugh. Yeah. So different intentions for everyone.
Yeah. And you must learn so many skills that can be transferred to so many different aspects.
Yeah.
In public speaking.
Very grateful that I did public speaking lessons, because it's even just helped with academics like English, how to write an essay better or come across more coherent, and confidence and feeling like I can, talk to people.
Yes.
So yeah.
Were you always quite good, do you think, at just speaking?
Good question, because...
Were you ever shy? Oh no, you said you were very outgoing. And I'm like...
I don't think I was ever shy, but I'm not sure if this will make sense, but I think I'm a very loud person, but not a good conversationalist. So I'll happily be loud and singing and laughing, but when it comes to sitting down and having a conversation, I used to stumble quite a bit.
Yes.
And just prefer if the person was talking at me rather than, talking equally. I even this is probably shocking, but I used to even be scared of ordering food.
Yeah,
from McDonald's.
All of us have that.
I had to prepare the order in my head. I want one frozen Coke and one medium fries.
I get it.
So it's helped with the confidence aspect, definitely.
Just normal day-to-day social interactions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice. Oh, I'm so bad at small talk.
Yep, same.
I have no idea
how's the weather?
How's the weather? Yeah. And then I have no idea where else to go. Yeah. No, so after, with public speaking, you were able to go to so many of these competitions.
Yes.
Did that take a lot of time across your high school journey?
Yeah. It took up a very big chunk of time.
Yeah.
So my friends always jokingly complain, "Oh, you're never at recess and lunch because you're at something to do with public speaking or something else." I was, before COVID, I think, traveling twice a year for public speaking, and before that it was a lot of preparation and lessons for these competitions. And I was very fortunate to be able to travel across Australia and to travel overseas.
Yes.
To places I had never been before, but then obviously COVID hit, so it was more doing that over Zoom, which was weird to navigate. But I have made a lot of friends from overseas just by meeting them on the screen, so it's great.
And I think what's so great about public speaking is because, you meet so many people, but all of these people actually, they have something that they really care about.
Yes.
They're very passionate about whatever they're going through. And I think that makes the people that you're talking to so much more interesting. And you have so much more back and forth symbiosis
exactly
you can gain from each other.
And I think a stereotype I had in my head before going into the public speaking world was that, public speakers are very posh, like the high academic, students who want to pursue this. But the public speaking community is like the nicest community of people I've ever met. They're just so down to earth and so genuine. And it's nice because I can kind of like geek out with them.
Yeah.
Because my friendship group, even though we have so many similarities, none of them do like public speaking. So it's nice to have that side with my public speaking friends.
Do you know Toastmasters?
Yes, I do. My uncle used to do it.
Oh yeah. That's my. Oh, do you know no, I think you know Maya Stillwelly?
Yes,
Yeah.
Maya. Yeah.
Yes, I'm good buddies with Maya, and like so we were like saying how we should go to like Toastmasters as a joke, but then we were thinking actually it might be good.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
You're just had to just like speak, right? Yeah, and like with you, I'm sure like over time, just speaking just was so much easier. It was just a second nature thing.
Yeah.
Everything just ties together.
It's definitely through experience. Like public speaking can't really be taught by a textbook. You have to just kind of get thrown into the deep end.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So I remember my first national competition I was like 14, and all these kids around me were so intelligent, and I was like, oh, I don't know half the words they're saying. So it's just basically through experience, picking up the different jargon and the way that they come across.
Yeah. And okay, I also want to touch on that diploma in communications.
Yes.
What is that all about?
Yeah. So diploma of communications basically entitles me to legally teach other people.
Oh, nice.
So it's just, being able to teach younger kids speaking. And yes, I started that process when I was 16 and then got it last year. So yeah, that was just a series of exams and interviews with like an examiner from ASCA, which is the Australian Speech Association for so being qualified is good because that means I could get a job at my school next year if I wanted to, which is great. Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of different special techniques, skills, little nuances with speaking and persuading a person.
Yeah, definitely. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I've read books about like, how can you communicate better? How can you twist a person so they like accept what you're asking them? And I'm sure you've learned a lot of that as well. Yeah,
definitely not like through the textbook, just through experience.
But, like, experience,
and I think public speaking underpins everything that I do. So I'm very grateful that I started it.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, I gotta like get lessons from you.
Oh,
like later
definitely.
Down
Anytime.
100%. Yeah. So also like the charity work and volunteering work. I'm sure that kind of subtends from the like social issues that you learn about from public speaking.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
So I've always been involved with Westmead Hospital and Sydney Children's Hospital because I grew up with multiple food allergies and just had issues with the immune system. So I've been going to Westmead since I was 2 years old. So I've grown up, with a staff of nurses and doctors as my second family, and that being my second home, because I saw them so regularly. And so I wanted to give back, especially to that community, because allergic disease and awareness around that is very, very low. And Australia has like the highest rate of food allergies, and there have been a lot of instances where people have just lacked awareness and people have died from it. So I wanted to ensure that I could spread and generate more awareness for it. So there's a foundation that my parents helped create and sit on, which is the Sparkle Foundation.
Oh, your parents created that?
Helped create it along with the immunology department at Westmead Hospital. So a group of nurses and doctors came together along with, like dedicated parents and created this charity. And so through my public speaking, actually, I was able to become a keynote speaker at these like foundation balls that we hosted,
so cool.
which was really awesome. And you know, I've met a lot of like really cool people from it. I'm not sure if you guys know, he's a maths teacher, Eddie Wu.
Well,
he does
we
YouTube.
We all know Eddie Wu. We love Eddie Wu. Yeah,
a legend.
You met him.
Yeah, I was able to meet him at one of the balls because his 2 daughters have allergies.
Oh my god!
So he was there just attending, and I was like, oh my gosh, Eddie Wu.
Eddie Wu.
Like, you know, I was like, once again, fangirl moment.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, like really awesome opportunities have come from this foundation.
Wow, okay, so that's the Sparkle Foundation.
Yes, the Sparkle Foundation. And sadly, it hasn't been running as much because of COVID. It's been really hard to run. And it's all run by, you know, nurses who are working, you know, late hours. So it's very hard to organize, but hopefully we'll get that back on track.
Nice, yeah. And there was also, you had here, like, the allergy life Australia. Is that kind of the same, like a similar thing?
Yeah, they're not connected, but connected in my sense that it's about allergies and wanting to help. So my mum is on that as like she hosts some of like online counseling sessions for like support groups and stuff. So I just got involved through my mum and have been kind of asked as a youth perspective on how to like generate awareness. So I help advise with that sort of stuff and like social media. No, it's just great because it's an issue that you really care about. It's something you have personal connection with, and that's why I think it must be so like well done because of that aspect. Thank you.
So we've been going for an hour and a half already.
Oh my gosh.
It's going really fast. Okay, I'll like tag with you like a few more things before we finish, but okay, like there's obviously so many cool things in your life, and I want to know what does Paris look for in the future? What does her life after school look like?
It's a good question. I think because I've done a lot of stuff in my school life, people or adults expect me to have like a very concrete plan of what I want in the future, but to be honest, I have no idea. All I know is that I want to continue helping people and to do a job around that. So I'm not exactly sure, but I do know I want to help people.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you know what you want to study though?
Yeah, so I've been applying for a few early entries.
Nice.
And my course preferences are law or like marketing and media. So 2 very different things, but yeah, maybe a double degree.
Yes. Do you know what is about media and
marketing?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
That's good.
No, that sounds it sounds like really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I've been playing with this podcast. I realized how cool it is, like, or just playing around media. I feel like that's a dream. But like, why did you want to do law?
Law, I think it's because it ties very well with like the debating, public speaking, and
yes.
something I'm very passionate about is like knowing your rights and learning about rights and how you can go about sticking up for other people and advocating. So it just I liked that idea, and that's what appealed me to it.
Yeah, I also want your take on this idea of, you know, just like shooting for the corporate world and earning, like aiming for the biggest payday. What is your views on all of that?
I mean, obviously we live in like a capitalist society.
Yes.
Where money is at the forefront, but I used to want to be like a human rights lawyer, and that's not the most highest paying law job. You know, my mum jokingly said, oh, why don't you go for, you know, corporate law, you know, more money, right? But it's not the biggest concern for me. Obviously I want to do well financially, just so I'm comfortable, but it's not the biggest priority for me. I think I would rather do something that I love. Like I want to have a career, not a job, and I think there's a very big difference between the two, if that makes sense. Like a job, I see it as something you go to do to earn money. A career is something that you love and you're passionate about and you've developed, not because of the money, but because of your passions and ambitions. So yeah, I would want a career.
Yeah. And do you think Yeah, okay, I like that answer, yeah. Because a big culture with a lot of us is just shooting for the big corporate world.
Yeah.
And getting the biggest pay. I think
Paycheck,
that was a big definition of success for a lot of the boys who I know. And I wonder, is that a case with girls from your experience?
I don't think it's much of a priority.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a lot of girls, in my year say, oh, I just want to, continue hustling for the money. And I respect the hustle, absolutely. But I think it's more about, I think a lot of girls in my year want to take a gap year and just find themselves first and what they want to do
Yes.
before they go on to do other things. So yeah, I don't think it's much of a priority in my school.
Okay. Yeah. And do you want to go? So you want to go university?
Yeah, I think if I take a gap year, I'm a lazy person. Like I'm just not going to want to go back.
No, I agree. Yeah, I would.
So I kind of need to like just push myself.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, so we've been going for like an hour and a half now, but like I want to end. I was in with some like rapid questions.
Awesome.
They're not really rapid, but just give your answers to them.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you know what? Wait, sorry. Before that, I want to ask you like, what is your oh no, do you know your ideal job yet? What is the dream end goal for Paris?
That's a very hard question. Just something where, as I said before, helping people and financially stable for myself, being able to give back to my parents and making their lives comfortable as well, and being able to treat my friends and stuff. So something financially stable, but also being able to help people. Yeah.
Okay, no, I like that. Yeah. Okay, so going to the rapid questions.
Yeah.
Number 1, what is the single most important thing in your life right now?
Family and friends will always be family and friends. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a people's person. I don't think I could ever live alone. Like that's something that scares me. So yeah, family and friends.
I like that. Yeah. Number 2, what is one thing you're struggling with at the moment?
Ooh, I think just managing, schoolwork with like also trying to still keep up hobbies and passions outside of school and try not to be too focused with like academics. So that's something I'm struggling with to balance, but I'm slowly finding my feet. Yeah.
Are you one of those people who are always dug in their books, or do you quite like
definitely not. Yeah. I definitely like the relaxing aspect and stuff, but obviously I want to do well in my academics. So making sure I'm not too buried in my books that I lose, time for my hobbies or passions. Yeah.
But you still have quite a good drive, like constantly of...
Yeah, I try to. I think especially for right now, I think everyone's a bit like slowing down, even though we want, trials are coming up, so we need to hustle and continue. But yeah, it's been a bit harder, I found, especially in the holidays, to try and get back onto that really driven mindset. But yeah, I think just practice makes perfect. So
yeah. Okay, number 3, what is your biggest regret so far? Nice.
Honestly, nothing. Like,
nice.
I try not to live with any regrets, and even stuff I find like cringy or embarrassing, I'm like, oh, it's made me who I am today. So honestly, nothing. And I hope I don't live with any regrets in the future.
Wow, nice. No, that's a great mindset to have.
Thanks.
Okay, number 4, what's something in our current society that you don't like, and how would you change it?
The audacity for people to think they have a right over women's bodies. I'm specifically talking about the abortion, the lack of abortion rights right now in America and various other countries. I think it was a really big step back for the women's movement. So yeah, that's something I don't like about society right now. Yeah.
Could you like, I'm sure you've, read a lot about that. And I think, a lot of us have not, like a lot of us boys haven't been like really engaged enough with this.
Yeah.
I mean, could you like give me a little bit of a history lesson about like
everything
going on?
Well, I don't know all the details about what's happening in America right now, but just the basic human right to seek medical help if you need to abort the fetus, because I think what a lot of pro-life people try and argue is that it's a baby inside of you.
Yes.
But it's not, like, it's just a fetus. It hasn't developed yet into a heartbeat or a person. And I think what pro-lifers forget is that it's a case-by-case situation. It's not these, like, evil women who just want to, like, kill babies. It could be a 13-year-old girl, still a child, who did not want this pregnancy and should terminate the pregnancy so she can live her own life. But now that her like right is literally taken away from her, it's as if people are saying, no, you must continue this pregnancy, and that'll change her life forever. So it just devastates me that is the outcome currently in society, that we don't have the full rights to our bodies.
Do you think there's a way that we can help this issue?
I definitely think just being more self-educated, so reading up about articles, being more aware. Especially, I'm very happy that you're asking as a man yourself. So just continue staying educated, reading articles, asking your female friends on their perspective maybe, and generating a very holistic approach to it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think, like I said before, like, so many of us aren't engaged enough with politics, what's going on with the media. And I do agree that so many of us, we have to, like, switch out over, be more engaged with everything going on in the world. Yeah. Okay, bit of a shift. But what are your top 3 favorite movies?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one. Right now, I have been rewatching on Netflix The Talented Mr. Ripley. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Oh, remind me what that all about.
Has Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, Matt Damon, very, like, young.
Okay.
It's, like, set in Italy, and it's about this guy who's basically like a con artist, and he basically tries to adopt the life of this really rich and wealthy man.
Wow.
It's so cool. Like, definitely put it on your watch list.
I will, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I would say, one of my favorite movies.
Have you watched Catch Me If You Can?
Yes.
Is it a bit like that?
Yeah, it definitely
I really
is.
love that, yeah.
I love a good Leo movie as well. Leo DiCaprio.
Oh. No, what I found so cool about that movie, and I assume would be a bit similar to Talented Mr. Ripley, yeah, is that he's just a kid, but he adopts so much confidence that he just can become anybody.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it, right?
Exactly, yeah. I love that movie, yeah. Sorry, second movie?
Oh my goodness. Well, I love any Audrey Hepburn movies. Like, I'm obsessed with her. She's my idol. Not because she was an amazing actress, but because of all the philanthropy work that she did, and she spoke like 7 languages fluently.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's awesome. So any of her movies, I think. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Roman Holiday. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I haven't caught many kind of older movies.
You definitely have to get onto that. Yeah.
I feel like they take more work to watch them, but
especially in the black and white, and they've got like a very different acting style. So if you're not into that, then
we'll watch it. Yeah. Okay, what is one piece of advice you would give to everyone listening?
The advice I'd give to people listening: don't be afraid to try new things, and don't care what like others think. I know it's really cheesy, but just be your own person and be proud to be your own person. Yeah.
And final question. I think I might already know the answer, but what will you be focusing on for the next 6 months in your life?
Probably just year 12, IB, getting through that. So yeah.
Why did you choose IB over HSC?
I just liked the structure because it's more independent learning. They basically just like give you the work and they're like, okay, go do it yourself. And I'm a bit of a like control freak, so I like doing my own stuff and being able to do it in my way rather than being told by a teacher this is what you have to do. So there's a very independent structure. And just like the different courses that they offered. Yeah.
Do they have teachers still teaching you?
Yeah, but it's literally like at the start of the lesson, oh, here's what we're learning today. And like they'll go through the content, but then you'll just like do all your notes yourself and do everything.
Just like
it's very independent. Yeah. Textbook and like videos and...
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, because I literally cannot intake anything in class. And then I just throw everything on the backlog and I'm just doing everything behind schedule. But then I just learn everything myself anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So IB might have been good for me.
Did they offer it in your school?
No, we just have HSC.
That's a shame. Yeah,
shame. But okay, that's literally it.
Awesome.
Once again, Paris, I want to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed that. I learned really a lot.
I feel like I've learned a lot from you too. It's been great having sitting down having good conversations.
No, thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
But yeah, I'm gonna just keep it short and sweet with the outro. I was going way too long today. Yeah, I really hope everyone enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. I love speaking with Paris, but once again, I guess hopefully the next episode comes soon. I'm not sure if it will. We have trials coming up. Good luck everyone with trials. So yeah, this is Teenage Turtles Podcast. My name is Henry.
My name is Tara.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.